George Morgan here and Jack Gannett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Down between the Mercedes teammates.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Shootout countdown, Danny Beresne.
Longay has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
And a big welcome back, folks. It is this time of the year once again. We have 2 or 3 of these times a year, but they're all equally as special. It is the return of PSGL, and we are here this evening for season 38 of the F1 Championship. 38 seasons, and thankfully they just keep getting better. And what an evening, what a season we are in for. We start here in Albert Park, and we will be running over the next few months to crown the next greatest prodigy on the PlayStation platform. And one of our former greatest PlayStation racing prodigies is alongside me. It's Mr. James Head.
Greatest racing prodigy? I'll actually take that, to be honest with you.
A bit of a stretch, but sure look.
Welcome everyone to season 38. It is PSF1. We are back, and hopefully you haven't missed us too much. It has been about 3 weeks, I think, since our last race. But the last time we came here in Australia was season 36. It was the championship opener even. And in that race, I can tell you, it was an absolute humdinger. And it was Matteo who took the win. Who ended up lapping the championship last season? Matteo. So it has got a very good record of producing young prodigies like you, Evan.
Yep, I actually am a champion as well, of course. That'll be mentioned a few times throughout the season. But who will be our next champion? Well, it's going to be one of these guys, or one of the reserve drivers. But in theory, it's going to be one of these guys. And these are our teams for this season. And it's a very familiar grid. If you were an F1 fan last season, it's nothing too different. That graphic is slightly wrong. There's one correction on it that we will run you through. But I suppose the favourites for a constructors' standings would be Alpine, James, because of course Cameron and Tom did win the constructors' standings, the constructors' championship, I should say, last season, just in a different car.
Yep, they were in McLaren, I believe, last season, if I'm not mistaken. Cameron and Tom wrapping up the championship there. A fantastic effort, I think, from both of them. Tom, ever the experienced man, he's going to kill me for saying that a little bit later on. Cameron Dowd's the young prodigy that is coming through the system, of course, on console, was previously PCF1. But looking at that field, I mean, we've got what? Renz and Rodadal on the Aston Martin, Matteo and Brando on the Ferraris, Mustache and Barak, watch out for him potentially tonight in qualifying, the Haas man alongside Mustache. Hazara and Casper Flack, who I've got in the pole here tonight in the Kick Saubers. Danny Van Ryten and Alpha Gilly, I think, actually is a very underrated and underdogged team. Same with Oscar and Volakongan. They're, of course, in the Mercedes. Ryan and Paul are in the Red Bulls. Normally, it is going to be Azim alongside Ryan tonight in the Red Bulls. However, Rianne and Marios in the Visa RB, the cash grab, whatever you like to call it these days. And Maxwell McGeese and Dirk in the Williams, rounding off the 20 drivers that are about to do battle here down under in Australia, where the women go and men plunder. It is going to be a very interesting night's worth of action. I cannot wait for this one.
Was that a Men at Work reference?
It was.
We're on the board, folks. But yeah, your grid for this season, it's very interesting. There's a lot of interesting teams. There's a lot of interesting names. You have the two Italians in Ferrari there, one to watch. Rens Thomason and Ryder Dahl will continue in the Aston Martin for a second season. So there's definitely a bit of synergy being built up there. Of course, no Denny Van Routen this season, that he dropped out to join PC. It'll be Thales who replaces him. Then there's a couple of rookies, of course, some drivers who've been promoted from F2. The top three in the F2 standings, racing, of course, in F1 this season, and all very interesting names. And they're definitely ones to keep an eye on for maybe a couple of race wins, a couple of podiums, but you kind of have your big names such as Cameron and Rens that we would like to assume will be fighting for the championship, James.
You'd like to imagine so. I think the likes of Matteo, I think, will probably be up there. Do not rule out the likes of Volokongan, Oscar, I think, in the Mercedes. It's one of those seasons where everything, I think, is to play for. Judging by how George Ansell's been doing in PSF2 as well, he was running third in Australia in the dry race there in PSF2, so he was doing very well before we came live. So that potentially is going to be something to look on. Hazara, obviously, a man that absolutely fought for this place last season, didn't really pick up many points, wasn't really consistent throughout the season, but he is still within the lineup, which is very crucial for him. And then we've got the likes of Mustache and Brando joining the fray, which is going to be really interesting indeed. We have got cars though out on track. First guy out on track, I believe, for me at least, is the Williams man of Dirk, who, funny enough, is actually first on the graphic.
Yes, it is Dirk who is first out on track, and the fact that we are looking at Dirk kind of brings me nicely to my next talking point. Last season, James, and you briefly mentioned it there as well, we had those who had a great season, those who did really well, and then we kind of had the ones who were fighting for their place. We didn't really have a middle ground. Will we have sort of a midfield this season?
You'd like to imagine so. I think from the guys with F2 certainly coming up, I'd like to think they're going to be at least in the mid-table pack. They're going to be in and around that midfield. But as long as they fight consistently, I think, for their races, it's going to be relatively interesting to see how they all get on. Of course, with Goldstein off and collisions off and everything within this qualifying session, it'll be very interesting to see who marks the board. Dirk Moe coming through the final couple of corners, and as Evan Dalton is head commentator in PSF1, take it away.
Yeah, so Dirk, a man who is always confident in qualifying, I suppose. He's not a man who lacks confidence. He's going to take us through this Albert Parks. No, he's not. No, he's not. He doesn't lack in confidence. He does lack in racing room, and that's going to be an invalid lap for Dirk. We'll come back to an onboard, I suppose, in 2 minutes' time. We can have a look at another blue car, though. This is Cameron Dowds, the man sporting the McLaren for all last season. He's now in the Alpine. And to me and James's delight, we're no longer in the F1 World Cars.
We aren't, and honestly, I think it's very good from Cameron Dowds' perspective, because we can actually see who is in what car. Mustache, by the way, was a 26.3 in the first sector. Cameron Dowds a 10th quicker through the first sector with a 26.2. And now the Flying Scotsman is on nickname, Liam Bowman, non-existent now, of course, on console. Cameron Dowds now running down through Lakeside Drive, into this left-hander and the right of turns 9 and 10. 43.7 in the middle sector. You'll be expecting to see 43.3s, 43.4s, I think, by the end of this qualifying lap, as Cameron Dowds now comes in towards the right-hander of turn number 10. Funny enough, named, I think, Ascari, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
now coming
correct.
through the right-hander of turn number 11. In fact, this is turn number 12 even. I'm miscounting. In through the left-hander now at turn number 13. Let's see what the Scotsman, though, can do. Mustache is on the run to the line very shortly. He sets his first lap with a 15.4. I think Cameron Dowds is maybe 2 tenths quicker than that. Cameron on the run to the line. He is 2 tenths quicker than that. 15.2.
Yeah, good lap by Cameron, gets one on the board, 15.2. We are awaiting a lot more times, however, here around Albert Park, the Australian street circuit. One man is going to be the man who has stepped into Cameron's shoes in the McLaren. This is Shizou Alpha Gully. His Shizou teammate has just gone quickest in the form of Oscar. And Stamassen goes to third. Rayan in fourth. Rayan, almost a bit of a king of qualifying, you might say. Here comes Marios, who's going to be coming towards the line. The Cypriot is able to go to fourth and is able to beat his teammate Rayan here in the Banker Times. I want to potentially ask you a question and potentially also state a bit of a fact here, James, because I don't know if it's 100% true, but dare I say Marios is the first Cypriot we've seen in PSGL F1 in quite some time.
Yeah, I think he's the first Cypriot of all time, if I'm not mistaken, in PSGL PSF1. He was part of last season, remember, And then I think he had a couple of technical issues. I believe he had a wheel issue and then pulled out of the rest of the season. So it's actually really good to see him back in a full-time seat, of course, in the Visa RB. And he's alongside Rayen, who's actually there in 6th position. So they're setting very consistent times right now. Azim, by the way, went ahead of them, which is a very good lap time from the reserve man. He's there in 3rd. The Turk for the ET8 team has been strong around the past 2, of course, in other leagues as well. But Oscar out on top, Karen Dad in 2nd, Azim there in 3rd. Plenty of invalidations, though, on those lap times. The likes of Tales invalidated. Dirk coming back for an outlap. Tom Roberts there going out for an outlap as well. Barack and Max von der Geest all following out on the outlap. Of course, everyone's on a set of soft compound tyres. And at least we are getting the best possible action out on track and qualifying because it was full wet and intermediates for the full 18 minutes in PSF2.
A bit of a wet session's not too bad, but maybe not for the first round of the season. We like to see these cars, or we like to see these drivers sort of take the strapping off. They get rid of the plastic, they get rid of the foam, and they just let these automobiles rip. And they are going to do so for their second runs in qualifying. For a lot of drivers, their first runs 10 times on the board, 10 times not on the board, an even split. We will see a lot more rounding the final few corners now to start their qualifying lap. Another man we're seeing out on track now is Matteo, and Matteo had an interesting season last season, 4th in the standings, 67 points, 3 podiums, 1 pole position, of course, at his home race in Monza, but he saw that as a bit of a failure, James.
He did see that as a bit of a failure because he was previously PSF1 champion in season 36, so I think he had a very high standard, and to be honest, I expected him, certainly, at least on this half of the commentary box, for him to be up there, at least in terms of the top 3 in the standings. P4, his qualifying was absolutely woeful last season. On average, he was absolutely up against it. He has improved that. He's got new setups potentially on the car as well, new engineer, I believe, on the ET8 as well. So he is trying to find all of those tenths of a second, quite literally, to try and improve. He is about to go on for his lap time right now. Tom Roberts, by the way, in that first sector split was a 26.2, so he's actually up on Oscar and Cameron Dowds in that first sector split. I'm on board with them now, coming in towards turns 9 and 10. I'll give you his middle sector split very soon. 43.7, pretty much the 1,000th of a second, absolutely winging it through the chicane.
Yeah, good run here by Tom Roberts. And yeah, interesting point about Matteo with a new engineer. I'm not sure who that new engineer is here. I'm sure one of the ET8 lads will tell us in the stream chat. But you kind of saw there was just a little bit missing since the partnerships sort of briefly ended between himself and Bas Bremer. That really was a force to be reckoned with, and they were sort of on the money all the time when it came to the strategy and the driving advice. So it'll be interesting to see what works out there. Tom Roberts, 6th for Alpine. He is slightly slower than Cameron, and that'll be a little bit disappointing from Tom, but there's not much separating himself and the creme de la creme. Here comes Matteo in towards the very high speed chicane. Flicks it left, flicks it right. That's very, very smooth through there, and the car almost looking like it's on rails.
Absolutely on rails. Now coming into the right-hander turn number 11, coming through Ascari, not to be confused, of course, with the Italian Grand Prix at the Monza circuit. Now coming through the right-hander turn number 12, comes the Italian Stallion, as we nickname him, of course, here in commentary. Now through the left-hander turn 13, then through the right-hander now of turn number 14, the ex-PSF1 champion, looking to try and get on the board. He's going to be around about Tom Rendazim, that sort of area, I think, this lap time on the rental line, and he actually bangs it into 2nd position. So, looks quite deceiving around this track.
Yes, it is Oscar who is on top, the young Norwegian, and it is Matteo 2nd, Cameron Dowds in 3rd. Ryder Dahl now heading on, or currently on his lap, I should say, heading into the final sector for the Aston Martin. He'll be looking to put it up near him, his teammate Renz Tomasson. In towards the final corner comes the Swedish driver, and Ryder Dahl will be looking across the check, well, not the checker, but the checker on the floor, and he goes quicker than his teammate. That's actually 4th. He pips Dirk and Azim as well. And the one-time race winner here in PSGL F1 has had quite a nice lap of it. 1/10 of a second off pole position. Oscar currently out in the lap as well. Big improvements for him.
Yeah, big improvements indeed. Volakongan as well as teammates just coming through the final corner, just finishing off his lap time now. The all-Norwegian pairing, of course, in the Mercedes. Volakongan now on the run slide. He's definitely going to be up there. Goes 5th position ahead of Dirk, behind Ryderdale. Not too bad at all, but Oscar is up on his lap time. Now coming through the final couple of corners. On the run toward the line, then the man, Coney in P1, he is going to be obliterating his lap time right now. Oscar to the line. 14.7. 3/10 improvement. 4/10 from Matteo. Oscar, I'm not sure if he's being fed properly or whatever he's being fed. He is absolutely on it. And right now, he's either showing A, he hasn't got any life with that 4/10 improvement, or B, he's just simply a class above the field around here.
That's a great lap. That's a brilliant lap from Oscar, and he's really put himself on the board and in our eyes. 1:14.796. There was a lot of discussion pre-race about whether some drivers could even get close to a 1:14.7. Oscar has done it. He's pipped a lot of them, and he is one of very few who can set that lap time. His teammate Volakongan as well. Great run to go into 5th. Mustache is going to be heading into the pit lane, not currently on a lap. Don't think there is actually anyone on a timed run. No, there isn't. All just heading back into the pit lane or heading back on an out lap. So 8 minutes to go here. First session of the season in PSGL F1 Season 38. A big welcome if you are just joining us. You haven't missed an awful lot of action. The best bit is about to come, and that's sort of the qualifying shootout which you usually get here at the 5.278 kilometre Albert Park circuit. 14 corners in the new variation. The lap record on the old circuit here held by the great Michael Schumacher. The new one, well, it's either Charles Leclerc or Max Verstappen probably to give it a guess, but that is one you're going to have to Google, unfortunately.
She got it in my notes. It is Charles Leclerc on a 1:20.260.
I told you you could guess it.
2022. He was right. Yeah. He's head commentator for a reason here on PSF1. That's why.
Well, he probably should have done the research in the first place to have that statistic ready, but we'll say nothing. Here comes Rens Thomason round through the final corner to head down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, Ren's on his run. I'm just trying to find him, actually. Where is he? He's in P8 right now, and he's about to go on his run. Coming through the left-hander now, turn number 1. Through the left-hander now, turn number 2. And then on the right-hander, down into the right for corner at turn number 3. And, of course, reaching the second DRS detection point. Remember, there are 4 DRS detection zones around this track. One down the start-finish right to Max von der Geest there, I think, catching your eye, going into second with a 14.9. But this is going to be a really important lap, I think, for Rens. He really needs to try and improve on his lap time. He is down in the first sector. 500 down in the first sector. Has got to say pretty much and be conservative pretty much with all of his ERS running down Lakeside Drive into all the left-hander turns 9 and 10. It's going to be really intriguing what his middle sector split is like. Tom was down in the middle sector and then improved in the final, and he's only 6,000 up his Rens. He needs a big final sector from somewhere, and I'm honestly not sure where it's going to come from.
No, not improving on this time. Certainly not comfortable with how the car is handling at this stage in the session as Tom Roberts is out of qualifying. That's a big retirement. That's heading out of the exit of turn number 4 in towards turn number 5, as James said. That is a big mistake and a big error from the British driver. He will not be starting higher than 10th. Utterly disappointing way to start the season. Here's Rens Thomason, who he has found time in the final sector, mind you. Goes to 3rd, 2nd row of the grid. Still not close to Oscar, though.
Somebody that isn't improving right now either is Cameron Dowds. They're in P6. He's 1800s down through the middle sector, now on the run toward the line. And this is a really special final sector. It is improved by a 10th of a second, but they're very minimal improvements compared to what we normally see around here. Rydal just setting up on a lap time right now, just trying to see if there's anybody close to the line. Barak is purple. I repeat, purple in the middle sector. So not sure what the Spaniard is doing with his middle sector split now. Coming in through the right-hand turn number 11, though. The Spaniard definitely looking to try and cook. I saw a comment earlier on, Barak to potentially one to watch out for, and he could be one to watch out for, not like that though, coming through turn 13, absolutely getting that rear end snappy. I think he rolled a bit on the grass actually on the outside curb. Now on the run to the line with Barak, it's still a very good lap time, 14.7, and he made that mistake, and it's 1,000 behind Oscar. Brilliant lap time from Barak. If he didn't make that mistake, it would have been a 14.6.
2 brilliant laps, 2 brilliant laps from Oscar and Barak, but 2 brilliant laps from the RBs. Rayad's gone 3rd, Marius has gone 4th. That's an incredible turn of events for the RB team, and the RB team kind of need 2 good drivers this season. 10th in the constructors standings last season, and Rayad and Marius mean business here, certainly around Albert Park at least. Casper Flack not improving on his lap. Ryder Dahl into the pit lane, not improving on his lap. Volakongan is in towards the final sector now. We'll see if he's going to keep pushing on. His teammate currently quickest to the bunch. Bit of a left front lockup, and that'll be that for Volakongan. He's made an error, was probably close on the delta anyways. Here comes Mustache towards the line. Let's see, is there an improvement for the Haasman? There is, but it's just ahead of the stricken Tom Roberts. He goes to 14th. Alpha Gully pulls out of the way and almost actually makes a collision with a slow Sauber behind him. No improvements for Brando. Tales has invalidated his lap as well, so we'll be gearing up for the final run, and there is nothing between Oscar and Barak. Well, there is 1,000th of a second in theory, but on the leaderboard, dead evens.
dead evens pretty much. And Barack, remember, with that mistake, I think that cost him at least half a tenth, maybe up to a tenth of a second
only
in
thing
terms of that
is,
mistake. So
can he repeat the first 2 sectors to get to that point?
that's the main question. And honestly, I'd probably say no. Judging by how this track normally operates, you normally see improvements right through the midpoint of the qualifying session, and that's what we've seen so far. Right at the end of the qualifying session, I wouldn't expect at all many improvements to be had. There'll be a lot of invalidations, especially coming through the right-hand turn number 6, where we see normally a lot of invalidations. Trust me, I know I have invalidated so many times in time trial around there, that is for sure. Must actually one out on track right now. He is about to bail, though, into the pit lane after improving on that 15.3. But it's Oscar out on top. Barack in second, Rayen there in third. Looking through the chat, Harrison in the chat saying, what happened to Tom? He had a spin coming out through turn number 4. I believe what happened, he might have got caught in the outside curb and then just rotated the car around and smashed himself into the wall through the left-hand turn number 4. Owen there saying about the crash as well. And Casper Flack saying, who put me in the prediction? Me.
Yeah, James does all the predictions, by the way. Like, I type them, but he picks every name. Apart from the other. I pick the other bit. Otherwise James would just have 4 rounds to Massons every week.
No, I'd have Cameron Downs every week. What are you on about?
Yeah, true. Everyone's lucky Owen isn't racing tonight, so I can't run the Irish in general just yet. That'll be back next week, don't worry.
Ah, neat. Yeah, I put Casper Flack in. I just had a real inkling that he could have a very good qualifying session, but you never know. You never know. He's there in P10. He's on an out lap right now. You never see. You will never know what happens toward the end of qualifying, because Murray Walker once said anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. And that's exactly what we're going to see, hopefully, in the final 2 minutes here.
I'm very excited by Casper Flack this season, because he's a real PSGL journeyman, if you'd like to say, in a sense. He went from PSGL F9 to PSGL F1 in just 1 year. He's the Season 35 F7 champion, Season 36 F4 champion, comes into F1 on the back of a runner-up season in F2. So he's got accolades to match his achievements. Hopefully now he can just put the pace alongside it here in PSGL F1, but that's a discussion for another day. The discussion now is we've got 1 minute and 40 left in qualifying. We've 19 drivers on outlaps on a not so big Albert Park circuit. All but Tom Roberts will be looking to improve. Tom, of course, crashing and is out of the session. Track position is going to be crucial here, and the first man to get a lap underway, he doesn't have a lap on the board so far, it is NLR Ryan.
Yep, it is NLR Ryan. Another driver that is very consistent normally in qualifying around here. Disappointing to see him so far down. Hasn't got a lap time on the board, but he comes through the right-hander now of turn number 3, then through the left-hander now of turn number 4. Pretty much where the car park actually is here in normal Melbourne terms at the Albert Park circuit. Now through the right-hander turn number 5, in towards now the right-hander turn number 6. 26 flat in the first sector is absolutely beautiful from Ryan. Now coming down Lakeside Drive. I'm very concerned, though, about his hot lap, because he's got 40% of ERS right now, and he's not using any of that up. He has used a lot of ERS in this first sector. Middle sector split, I think, will show that. 43.4. He should be around a 43.2, 43.3, and in the end, Ryan, I think, is going to be around Volokonga Nazim Mustache, that sort of area.
Yeah, you want to save your battery for the straights as much as you can. The question about Barack's first 2 sectors has been answered. Invalidation. There'll be no improvement there for him. He's squandered pole position. Oscar heading through the first sector now, heading through the right-hander of Whitefoot. Let's see his first sector split, heading for the right-hander. 25.9. Brief improvement from the Norwegian. Very nicely done. Rayan will be one of the first of the hotshots to complete his qualifying session. Marius has invalidated as well, so Rayan will win the RB battle, at least here around Albert Park. Renz Tomasson improves to 4th. No pole position for him here today down under. The Algerian coming towards the start-finish line. Rayan, what can he do? No improvement there. Won't be able to jump up the order. Cameron Dowds for the final corner. 2nd in the championship last season. Is it going to be 1st in qualifying? No, it's 7th. Ryan went to 8th position. Oscar's invalidated his lap as well. We're seeing a lot of mistakes laid on here in Australia. Mateo's up by a 10th, but has also invalidated. And it seems like Oscar is sitting pretty at the top of the order. Dirk improving on his time. Big improvement for Brando. He goes to 4th.
He does go to 4th. Dirk is the man I'm on board with, because he is up in the middle sector. 800's up in the middle. But this final sector could be something special. You only need a 3/10 improvement to really put it up there with Oscar and Barack. And Dirk going to try and manage that now through the final couple of corners. He is right on it, to be honest, with Oscar and Barack. On the run toward the line, I think he'll be 3rd, maybe. In the end, goes 10th. Ignore me. 15 flat in the end from him. Dan and P10, I think, with Ryan there invalidating. He's not on a run. Ren's not on a run either. That's the end of qualifying. Oscar out on top, Barak in second, Rayen there in third. And it's exactly how I said it would go in the final 2 minutes of the session. Hardly any improvements. I think the only improvement that I saw was Brando and Ren's, potentially.
And yes, that was Ryder Dahl you saw reversing down the circuit as Dirk was finishing his qualifying lap. I hope Louis Dupont doesn't get a whiff of that one for his sake. It is the Norwegian of Oscar who is on pole position by the closest of margins, ahead of the Spaniard Barak in second, Rayan in third, Brando in fourth, and then it is Rens Tomasin who starts fifth. The Cypriot Marius starts in sixth, Max van der Geest in seventh, Cameron 8th, Ryan 9th, then it is Dirk, Matteo, Casper Flack, Ryder Dahl, ahead of Volakongan down in 14th. Then it is Tales, Azim, Alpha Gully, Mustache, Tom Roberts, and Hazara. Folks, we'll debunk qualifying and get ready for the race in a couple of moments. And welcome back, folks, to PSGL. Very intriguing qualifying. Oscar starts on pole position.
He does indeed start on pole position, and only by 1,000th of a second. Literally, any qualifying comes after tonight, you can say this has been the closest qualifying of them all. I've got to be honest, unless people, of course, set same lap times as in the sessions that we've seen in F1 Esports, of course, once upon a time on the console side. But Oscar on top, Barak second, Rayen there in third. Is that a bit of a shock top three for you, Evan?
Well, first round of the season, you can never really say it's a shock, but it's different to what I would have expected when seeing the grid. I would have thought you would have had your Rens, your Mateos, your Camerons potentially up there, although the latter two have struggled in qualifying last season and as of late. But yeah, Oscar on pole, Barak second, Rayan in third. Barak, big talking point after qualifying. He has come in and made an impact immediately to this F1 grid.
He has, and do you know what? I'm actually not surprised. I was saying to you in the little interview that we had, I'm not surprised that Barak is there in P2 because honestly, he's a very good driver around this track in qualifying. Whether or not though he can remain consistent enough in the race is going to be one different thing. And obviously, he's got Oscar around him, he's got Rayen around him. Both of them have been inconsistent around here in the past as well. Barak certainly fits into that mold. Brando, I know, has been quite strong around here. Rens Tomasin, I know, has been quite strong around here in the past as well. And then you've got the likes of Cameron Dowds, Matteo, and Casper Black, who are starting right from the back of the field as well. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think, honestly, though, Oscar P1, Barak P2, Rayen P3, I have a feeling they're not going to be there come the end of the race.
Yeah, it could be a big shuffle up. We usually get that in Albert Park, especially on this game. You'll have a lot of slipstreaming, you'll have a lot of DRS battles, and we expect it to be a slight bit chaotic from time to time, as expected in modern day PSGL. But just to give you a brief run through of the circuit we are racing at tonight, in case you are unfamiliar, this is Albert Park, which began hosting the Australian Grand Prix in 1996. It took over from a very similar sort of circuit in Adelaide, which hosted the Grand Prix from 1985. The Australians love this race. 400,000 of them attended the return in 2022 after the COVID pandemic. Unfortunately, Australian drivers don't love this race, and an Australian driver has never finished on the podium at their home race in Formula 1 Don't think so in PSGL F1 either. Not that we do have many Australian drivers, given, of course, the time zones. It's a track that favours qualifying traditionally. The lowest an Australian Grand Prix has ever been won from is 11th. But James, I think it's safe to say, on an F124 game, you can win from anywhere.
You can win from anywhere, and honestly, safety cars, VSCs are going to be a huge feature, I think, within this race as well. There's going to be a lot of DRS training, there is going to be a lot of overtaking going on out on track. So honestly, anything could happen in Formula One, and it usually does, and I'm putting Murray Walker there for a good reason, because anything can probably happen around this track, that is for sure. It's just whether or not, though, they can remain consistent throughout the entirety of the opening laps. The opening laps are going to be absolutely crucial around this track, especially the first lap, because if you get a bad run down in towards turn number 1, albeit it's a very short run, it could be like 2002, and it could be like Rubens Barrichello toppling over the back of Ralph Schumacher down in towards turn number 1, which, honestly, I do not want to see a repeat of ever again around this track either. It was one of my first ever Formula One races that I remember even watching, and I think that was even... you weren't even born.
No, I wasn't born.
Makes me feel very old then, if that's the case then. But yeah, honestly, around here in 2002, there was that, and then everything happened around here in 2009, and obviously we had a half points race. Jensen Button, of course, taking the win in the Braun Grand Prix, and in recent times in PSF1 as well, back to the sim racing side, we've had the likes of Jarno Opmy, we've had the likes of Matthias Van Erven, we've had the likes of Wilson Hughes win around this track in PSF1. So whether or not they follow the recent likes of Legend Rosenberg and Matteo, who wrapped up the race wins, of course, in season 32 and 36 respectively, remains to be seen. It's going to be a very interesting race, and a fun fact for you, only one driver on this grid is ending up from the top 3 in the previous renewals of the Australian Grand Prix, and that man is all the way down in 14th in qualifying. It's Volokongan.
Yeah, Volokongan is... he's usually quite good around tracks like these. So I would expect him to be up there towards the top maybe later on in the race. Hard and medium tires, they're going to be well used here tonight.
Honestly, if I was the guys and if I was in the Commentators' Cup around here, and Evan made sure it was a very good race from his perspective, I've got to say, in that Comms Cup. But in how the strategies I think are going to happen around here, I've got it. Set of hards lasting 21 laps. They're very durable around this track, and I think we're going to be seeing more drivers starting on a set of hards than they are on a set of mediums. But that being said, mediums can make it probably to around about the halfway stage, lap 14, lap 15 at a push, and then they can transition onto the set of hards. Anybody that goes for a set of soft compound tire around here, you are going to be absolutely done for within the first 6-7 laps of your stint. If anybody goes on that early on in this race, makes me suggest potentially there could be a threat of rain more than anything else. But in terms of the strategies, it's going to be really interesting. And it's a good job because we don't need any intermediates or full wets like we did in PSF2.
No, it's all dry. It's a nice sunny afternoon here in Australia. Let's just get it out of the way. You can put some shrimps on the Barbie. No, sorry, Australians. I'm Irish, so I know what it feels like when everyone goes top of the morning to you. But yes, it is a nice sunny afternoon here in Albert Park in Melbourne, and we are hoping for a very good race. There's a lot of interesting qualifying positions, but none more interesting than pole position for Shizu Oscar, who was 9th last season in PSF1. Season 36, 2 seasons ago, he was champion in F5. Wasn't really known for qualifying in that season, did take 2 pole positions, but he has put on a bit of a showing here in Australia. And of course, in the Mercedes, a team that finished 7th in the constructors' standings last season in PSF1, but in real life Formula 1, Mercedes were sort of always known for their success around Australia, I want to say. Or certainly Lewis Hamilton made sure of that as well, but this should be a good one.
This should be a good one, and honestly, it could happen anywhere, I think, in terms of this race. The 2 fans there above the Red Bull pit garage are absolutely loving themselves right now, fist pumping the air, getting themselves pumped up right towards the start of this race. They are repeating the same movements over and over again, and they are willing, I think, Ryan to get us ready up very, very soon indeed. But it's going to be a really interesting race. Of course, Australia, Season 36, Matteo took the race spin around here. It was Volokongan and Gil on the podium that day. Matteo ended up being champion that season. Whether or not we set the ball rolling and have the winner here and then wrap up the championship in season 38 remains to be seen, but it's going to be a very interesting night's worth of action.
It should be, if it ever gets started, of course, but yes, it should be a very, very interesting one. As we head to the grid now, and for season 38, for the first time of what could be a brilliant campaign for some of these drivers, Weaker Racing in Australia, and it's a good start from Barack, who's already up and ahead and already leading in towards the first corner. Brilliant start for the Haasman. Oscar's been caught napping a little bit heading down towards turn number 1 and 2, and now he has to try and defend. Barack has started on the mediums. That explains the better traction. Oscar is on the Pirelli hard compounded tyres, and there is a bit of a problem there for Marius, who's getting a little bit out of shape heading through turn number 3, but he has recovered, is down to 9th place, but he is not out of the race and he is not wounded just yet. NLR Ryan, great start for the German. He's up 2 positions, and that is one of your best starters of the day. Ryder Dow joining him as well as we head on to Lakeside Drive for the first time. Brilliant, brilliant impact from the Spaniard.
Yep, and the Spaniard's on a set of medium compounded tyres, which is why he got the very good start. Same with Rennes, same with Max von der Geest, all on a set of mediums from the front 10. Dirk making the move on a set of mediums, passing Marius as well. There were 3, 4 wide nearly in the background, in towards Whitefield corner at turn number 3. Rennes Thomason, however, looking to the inside of Brando. Medium compounded tyres, absolutely going to sail it to the inside line, and the Aston Martin gets the job done. Brando there down into 5th position as a spinner in the background. That's Radadal, I think, hitting the wall in the background to shock Marius losing time as well behind Matteo and Casper Flack further down the field, but Radadal in wars at the back of the field. At the end of lap 1, Barack leads the way, Oscar in second, Rien hassling the back of the Mercedes, running down in towards turn number 1. There is side by side though, Marius and Azim.
Yeah, side by side, Marius not getting a good start in the RB. He has lost 7 positions in the opening lap and he is down to 13th place. Just needs to get the head down, just needs to try and get into a bit of a rhythm and work his way back up the order. Not out of this race by any stretch of the imagination, but losing 7 spots on the first lap is not an ideal start. Ryder Dallas also lost 7 spots. He was one of your bigger gainers, but he has lost places, so could have been a bit of a moment there for him. Not a good start for the RB, not a good start for the Aston Martin. Great start for the Red Bull in front of Marius though. Azim, the young Turkishman, has had a great launch and he is chasing down Casper Flack. Azim, of course, new enough to PSF1, hasn't got a full campaign under his belt just yet. This, of course, being Casper Flack's debut, so it is a fight of the rookies.
It is a fight for the rookies. They're both, of course, in the same esports team as well, which might have some relevance later on in the season. Casper Flack on the back of Matteo, looking to try and get the move done. Nobody getting the moves done, though, down in towards the right-hander at turn number 11 this time around. I'm on board with Rennes Thomason, all over the back of Rien. Really hassling the back, I've got to say, of the RB. Rien now hassling the back of Oscar, so this is beginning to have a bit of a train effect in front. Rien running very wide at the final corner as well. But Barack leading the way, Oscar second, Rien there in third. Rennes Thomason with the fastest lap of the race, and that is proven by his ERS usage. 48% he has got coming to the right-hander at turn number 1 there. Rien's got 76, Oscar's got 75, and Barack's got 63. So at the minute, Rennes Thomason, in terms of ERS, is about 10% less than what Barack is in front.
Yes, Rennes Thomason feels he needs to be up with Barack because he, of course, is on the medium tyres as well, the 2 in front and the hards, and you want to make use of the mediums while you've got them. A little bit wider the apex for Thomason, but he will be still clawing in on the RB in front, utilising the slipstream. Doesn't want to utilise too much of his battery because he's burned quite a lot of it for 3 laps into the race. And of course, ERS saving is key in modern day sim racing on the F124 game. That's why Cameron Dowds always appears at the front sooner rather than later. He's an ace at it, and there's plenty more in the field who can do so too. Here comes Oscar, looking to go for the first real battle of the season, excluding the first lap. Not able to do so, forces the Spaniard into a bit of a mistake. Lock up into the right-hander of Ascari. I think the Haas will get away scot-free. Can't really overtake in this final sector, or at least it's not beneficial to do so. You'll just get caught up heading through the final corner. Barack survives for now, but Oscar certainly will be looking for a move, potentially down towards turn number 3. The longer he stays with Barack, the longer he puts off Barack, the more beneficial it will be in the long run. Matteo, fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, with Oscar, the more that he waits to go for this move, the more he's going to be forced into going for the move by Barack ahead. As there, Brando tries to defend off the back of Max von der Geest. Max von der Geest all the way around the outside of turn number 3. Now for the inside of turn number 4. Brilliant stuff by the Knight Rider himself. Max von der Geest through his interfit. That's a note, of course, the F1 World Cars, which he was Knight Rider in. That is Max von der Geest through an interfit position. Neat move on that sort of medium compound size. Oscar now, though, going to be potentially forced into this move on the back of Barak. He doesn't want to go for the move, but he has to because everyone is going to Constantine up and behind, and Oscar goes around the outside of Barak in towards turn number 9 and 10 at the end of Lakeside Drive. Oscar through and he's into the race lead.
So the lead changes hands here on lap 4:29. If you're just joining us, perfect time to do so. Welcome along to PSGL Season 38, the F1 PSF1 Championship. And what a start we've had, and Barak has ran a little bit wide. Rayan almost looking to try sneak past the Haas as well. Barak, though, looks a little bit vulnerable in towards that right-hander. That's not the first error he's made into there. Maybe just feeling the pressure running at the front early on.
And this is what I've said about his consistency. Consistency is everything when it comes to an F1 championship and when it comes to actually racing around this track. And Barak, for me, just seems a little bit awestruck, I think, with him being up in P2 and 3 right now. Rayan is all over the back of him. Go on.
He's a bit nervous. You can see it in his driving. Yes. He's just making little mistakes, little errors. Nothing too bad, but probably feeling the pressure of the situation a little bit now, and just needs to try find that groove, as we say. Finding the groove, so important. You don't really want to be thinking about driving too much, because the more you think about driving, the more you'll put yourself off, and you can just see through there. You saw how stable Oscar and Rayan's run was, not necessarily Barak's, and Rayan not burning the battery, just the natural slipstream and DRS keeping him on the tail of the Haas. And luckily for Barak, the only thing is, once he stays within a second of the car in front, he will pick up the benefits of the DRS. And look at this, gap closes. Was attempted to be made by Rayan, but wasn't able to go for it. Barak with a nice defensive maneuver. That's a little bit better for Barak. Nails his run through there, defends the position. He's growing into it slowly but surely.
There's a slight bit of lag, I think, kicking in as well, because Barak is very slow now coming out of turn number 12 and 13. Rayan is all over the back of him, and Barak is Barak is into the pit lane, so that is him in the water, him into the pit lane even. Rayan then now takes up second, Renslav in third, Max von der Geest in fourth. I was literally saying it looked like he was lagging down the straight, and then that has happened. Barak is into the pit lane. Clearly some sort of issue on the car. Rayan now within 7/10 of a second off the back of Oscar. This changes the dynamic complexion of this race completely. And now Ryan looking on the back of Brando in the background as well, not looking for the move. But Barak on a sort of hard compound of tyres, he is into the pit lane. Did he have front wing damage?
No, there's an issue there because he crawled down the pit lane, and then when he got into the pit box, didn't pull out of it straight away, so didn't release the clutch and pull out of it straight away. There's probably an issue there. Maybe
model, I think.
Maybe some sort of his pedal issue is exactly what I was thinking, because he was weaving into the pit, so it wasn't a wheel disconnect, but there is some form of problem there for Barak. Utterly disappointing for him, because what a start he had to his PSGL F1 season. Nerves or not, he was still running at the front. Now, unfortunately, very far at the back. Needs a safety car.
Ryan tries to go around the outside of Brando, and he's going to be absolutely hummed to the inside line by Cameron Dowd, who gets the move done in the end. Matteo there right on the back as well. This could happen into a split between Matteo and Dirk in behind as well. Barak, I think, has got an issue potentially with the throttle pedal, if I'm not mistaken. I was right on board with him there, and it was literally about 70% throttle coming out of the corner at turn number 4. You do not want to be 70% throttle coming out of that corner. It's normally pretty much an absolute input. Jensen's saying in the chat as well, it could be a wheel issue potentially. Some sort of issue going on is what we can definitely say with Barak right now. He's there in P20. He looks okay. He's getting back up to speed right about now. But if it was terminal, he would have been in the pit lane. He would have retired the car.
Yeah, it's something. It's nothing to do with his game or his Wi-Fi or anything. It is hardware that is that issue. And hopefully Barak, for his own sake. Oh, there's a front wing on flying. Not sure whose front wing that is. I think that could be the other. Oh, it's Mustache. Oh, Haas are in the wars here in Australia. It's a circuit that they're not traditionally known for having good look at. And Mustache now has to pull out a line. His car is damaged. Haas are 19th and 20th here at the season opener. Disaster.
And Casper Flack having to defend off the back of Volokongan as well. Rayen's going to be under pressure. Rayen's pressurising the back of Oscar for the race lead as well. Volokongan, though, the battle I'm on board with to the inside line. In towards turn number 11. Tries to get the move done. Oh, locks up on the rear end. And in the end, nearly puts Casper Flack in the wall. But we'll let him go with that one. The Norwegian through, and he's into 13th. Casper Flack, the Dutchman, there down in 15th. Alpha Gully now. Sea Gully is our nickname him, of course, here down under in 14th in the McLaren, looking to try and repeat favour from what Tom Roberts and, of course, Cameron Dowds did earlier on around here last season and wrapping up the constructors. So far, Oscar having the manage of the race so far, Rayen there in second, Renz there in third. Everything is just a little bit fine and dandy right now. Hopefully, there's going to be more waltzing. Matilda, am I right? Marios to the inside line, even on the back of Azim. Tales now gets the move done into P11 and 12, and it goes waltzing around the outside.
Tales has just had a massive slide exiting that corner as well. Ryder Dahl in the pits, Hazara in the pits, Mustache in the pits. Mustache and Ryder Dahl for wing changes. Hazara just got his tyres changed. I'm not sure whether that was all he meant to do or if he wanted a wing change. That's all he's been given. And Tales, we saw, almost needed a wing change himself as well. Rayan goes for the race lead in the RB. He's ahead of Oscar. That is a fairly self-explanatory move with the DRS, with the slipstream, and the Algerian is looking decent here. Hazara, 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings very early in the race to picking that up, especially around what is technically a street circuit. There's not an awful lot of runoff or places you can invalidate there. Would indicate to me some form of damage that needs to be fixed, but we will find out later on in the race. Rayan, Oscar, Renz, Max von der Gies, Brando, Cameron, Ryan, Matteo, Dirk, then Azim in your top 10. Dirk bails into the pit lane. Medium tyres wearing off already, it seems.
Yep.
Well, that was
medium compound tyres, pretty much like the softs around here. They do wear off at a very high rate. And that is on. They're going to be on for a set of hard compound tyres. It's whether or not, though, they can actually make it to the end of the race. They're prioritising, basically, track position over anything else. And given how this race complexion is going, that might be the best thing to do short term. Long term, however, you've got all of those guys in a set of hard compound tyres. They'll be pitting in around about lap 16, lap 17, from about there onto a set of medium compound tyres, lasting around about 12 or 13 laps to the end of the race. So I think, actually, it's more for the medium runners at the end of the race that are going to be shot at, rather than those guys in a set of hards in the very short term. And if I prove to be right, then I prove to be right at the end of the day. You can call me Mystic James by the end of this stream. But Rayen leading the way, Oscar in second, Renz there in third, and Cameron Dowd is looking on the back of Brando, running up in towards turn number 11, but nobody close enough for the move.
We're not calling you Mystic James, ever. We have seen some of the howlers that you have had. That won't be the case. But
qualifying.
Yeah, well, that was a howler from both of them, really. Renz Tomasin into the pit lane, also in the medium tyres. Max von der Gies doesn't follow suit, but Mateo does, and the yellow flags are out on Marios. Marios is out of the race. I think that could be into the pit wall. Marios is out of his PSGL F1 debut for RB. Had a cracking qualifying. The Cypriot will play no further part. Dirk will be raging because he has just pit. And now everyone who just came into the pit lane gets a free pit stop. I'm not sure what happened to Marius, but it was through the final corner. It's either a spin under his own accord or he has hit the pit wall.
Yeah, I think he's taken too much curb on the outside and then spun the car around. Very similar, actually, to what I did around here in my last ever league race in F1 23. And indeed, what happened in PSF2 in the race a little bit earlier on, which caused a safety car. Funny enough, in around this lap as well. But the safety car is out because the drivers, though, have gone past the pit lane, or at least half the field have gone past the pit lane. Everyone else can afford to come into the pit lane. This will be good for those in a sort of whole compound of tyres, especially good, though, for Renz, Matteo, and Azim, who have just came in the pit lane, got that free pit stop. Of course, the interval timings will close up and everything like that, but for me, they're going to be 1, 2, and 3. Everyone else is going to filter in and behind those 3. So it is now begging the question, do these guys come in from a set of hard compound of tyres, or do they have to stay out there and just hope there's an old safety car around the midpoint in the race? Because really, those guys in the set of hards, they're not going to get the set of mediums to the end. They're going to have to go 2-stop, whether they like it or not, and that's why you're seeing them bail into the pit lane for that 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, some angry words are being shouted from the monocoque of Max von der Gies car, that's all I'm saying, because he could have pit with the rest of his medium runners, and then he would have filed out the rest. But the only thing is, if you're on the hards, you've just been forced onto the mediums. What we have evidently seen is that those medium tyres will not last until the end of the race, and that's why we're getting some creative strategies on the softs. Tom Roberts, Alpha Gully have just forced themselves into a 2-stop, but dare I say they won't be the only ones.
They probably won't be the only ones. To be honest, I think everyone in behind Hazara, Barak, Radadal, and Mustache are all continue on, so they're the only 2 actually now on a set of soft compound tyres. They're going to get creative with that strategy, but it's their track position for me that is going to be the real downfall. 14th and 15th position, just outside of the points, albeit they've got Dirk, Azim, and Casper Flack and the likes on the set of hard compound tires ahead. But those guys in a set of mediums who are on that fresh set are probably going to act the same as they would on a set of soft compound tires. So it's whether or not Tom and Alpha Gully can make that progress through the field and whether or not they've got the track position to do it. In my opinion, they haven't. They're not going to really make as much positions as possible unless there's a bit of contact, there's a bit of a Constantino effect, there's a few spins ahead of them. They're only going to be making up positions from that. They're going to be on the quickest compound tire, do not get me wrong, but track position for me is everything around this track. And given how they're 3/4 the way down the field with the safety car now coming in this lap, it's going to really throw an interesting dimension from their point of view for their strategies in this race.
Well, Tom and Alpha Gully needed to be the world's greatest round of Crossy Road ever. And they just weave through cars and get to the front. But we will see if that occurs. For now, it's going to be the Algerian of Rayan who will get us underway after the safety car restart. His teammate, the one who brought out the safety car. So the RB is alone at the front. 8th last season in the championship for Rayan. Got 2 podium finishes to his name, but more crucially, he did become the king of qualifying for quite some time. Took 3 pole positions in a row. He's gone just before the final corner. Actually muddles up his own run for the final corner a little bit, but he's got a 5/10 of a second buffer as we go racing once again here in Albert Park. Decent race there for Rayan. I wouldn't say perfect, but decent. He's not caught out the Norwegian of Oscar, though, who is right behind. Rayan, Oscar, Renz in towards the first corner. Tom Roberts already looking to try and make moves. He's side by side with Casper Flack. The rookie has been driven past by Tom Roberts. Brilliant move by the Alpine. Already up to 13. Volakongan makes the move on Dirk. Hard tires struggling to get the warm-up, of course. Alpha Gully dives down the inside of Casper Flack. Not able to make the move. Got to try the up and under. This is going to be a difficult move to pull off around the outside. Is he brave enough to keep the car there? Oh, he is. That's a brilliant piece of racing from Alpha Gully.
And you can almost say Casper Flack, the rookie, has just been outschooled on his first day at school. They're down in 15th position. He's down off in behind Alpha Gully, off in behind Tom Roberts. Tom now setting his sights on the back of Dirk around the outside. Down Lakeside Drive, in toward the left-hander now, turns 9 and 10. Job done for Tom Roberts, making effortless progress, I've got to say, throughout the field. This move further down the field, potentially going to come as well. Mateo on the back on Brando, Cameron Dowd, and Mateo could get in for an interesting battle. That's a one potentially for PSF on move, but they are going to get in for a battle. They're side by side, and they nearly force each other off track through 12. Nearly in the wall. That point from Cameron Dowd and Mateo, very harsh racing between them both in the end. Cameron Dowd comes out on top. That's a warning shot fired to the XF1 champion.
Yes, Cameron Dowds is making his presence felt. He is currently the meat in the Ferrari sandwich here in the Alpine, but he is hunting down Brando and will be looking to overtake him soon. On the same compound of tyres as Brando in front, so it is an even fight between the pair, and there will not be any tyre advantage at play. Still Oscar in the lead of this race. Rayan in second. Renz Tomas in third. Max von Wickes in fourth. Max having a great race for himself here in the Williams, I have to say, and is on a very, very interesting strategy and potentially race-winning strategy if all works out well. Tom Roberts only in 12th. A little bit more progress I think needs to be made there, James.
Yep, and exactly what I said about the track position as Rayan goes for the race lead on the back of Oscar's position swap player down the straight in toward the right-hander turns 9, out of the left-hander and the right-hander even at turns 9 and 10. Tom, for me, he's off the back of Volakongan. Volakongan will be his best friend, I've got to say, in the Mercedes. If he wants to let him through, he can probably let him through. But remember, it's an individual championship. It's not a team game. And whether or not Tom and Volakongan are in the same party remains to be seen. But for me, Tom is not making enough progress in the field to really try and spice up. He's got to come into the pit lane again unless he somehow can make those tyres toward the end of the race. It's going to be really interesting. And look at Dirk. Dirk is now off the back by a second. Alpha Gully's going to have to get this move done, whether he likes it or not, down in towards turn number 1. He might have to wait down in towards turn number 3, however. In the end, maybe waiting towards turn number 3 is the best situation because Dirk is still within DRS range. Alpha Gully in the end cannot get close enough. It's almost as if he hasn't got any straight line speed down the straight, and in the end has to back off that move. Dirk remains in P13, Alpha Gully in 14, Baraka mustache swapping, and Baraka's round coming through turn number 4, and that is an absolute disaster on his PSF1 return.
Yeah, Haas's day has got worse. It is an absolute disaster here in Albert Park. And yeah, Mustache and Barak have not had a good evening so far. Barak's being spun around. Oscar leading the race. Brando up to fourth. Gets past Max van der Geest as they all just fall back. Line astern. Heading in through the chicane. Alpha Gully has got past Dirk. So he's now up to 13. Could be more places swapped in this battle between the top 5. Heading into the right-hander. No, it isn't. They are all behaved for now. Oh, little bit of a snap for Matteo. Holds it well, but is under pressure from the German, Orbanel Orion. Two drivers who had their share of battles last season. They'll be looking to have a few this season, but for positions higher up than 7th.
Yep, positions higher up than 7 indeed, and Matteo will be definitely looking to try and make some progress through the field, of course, winning the round here in season 36. Got to try something special. Rens Thomason and Max van der Geest on that sort of hard compound tyres, they initially are not going to be on the best set of compound tyres, but the mediums have got a question mark, whether or not they can make it to the end of the race. They can, but probably with a bit of puncture territory within that as well. Remember, it's about 70-75% in terms of puncture territory. Doesn't mean, though, it happens on this game. We've seen drivers go 95% on a tyre before and yet not puncture their cars as Dirk is getting them moved on an Alpha Gully. Here comes Rens Thomason, though, on the back of Ryan. Going for P2, goes around the outside now for the inside through the kink of turn and braid. Might have to get Oscar as well. Goes parting the Red Sea around the outside. Beautiful from Rens Thomason. Ryan goes around the outside on Oscar as well. Parting of the Red Sea like Moses. Rens Thomason takes the race lead. Ryan in second. Oscar there in third. Now under pressure on Brando, who's coming to the inside line at turn number 11 of Ascari. Tries to get the job done all the way down the inside. Oscar on the outside line. Not going to give this one up without a fight. Mercedes and Ferrari. Two historic teams going side by side into the left-hand turn number 13. Brando tries to hang it all the way now to the inside line in towards turn 14. Max van der Geest is just rubbing his hands right now in that monocoque and trying to get both of them down the straight. Rens leads the way. Ryan in second. Oscar in third. At the end of the day, Evan, marvellous racing from both Rens and Ryan.
Oh, I tell you what, that got so scary before the left-hander because it was almost Ren's boxed in, but he had too much of an overspeed that he couldn't do anything about it. Brando doesn't want to give this one up. We're looking on board here from Max van der Geest at the Mercedes and the Ferrari position their cars everywhere all over this Albert Park circuit. They're visiting parts of the circuit that haven't been visited since it was first built. Unbelievable racing so far here in the first 16 laps on 29. There's a big question mark on the medium tyres. Definitely no lasting of the softs until the end of this race, so we will see more pit stops. And here comes Max van der Geest going for it once again. This could be sketchy, and they made contact. Right rear to front left. Did have a bit of a nudge, but it wasn't crucial. Cameron Dowd wants to become part of the party. Matteo wants to become part of the party and decides he's going to sacrifice his teammate for that. He wants to hit the piñata that is the top 5 battle, and he sends Brando back to the back of the queue. Incredible.
Oh, no, we're down under, but mamma mia, goodness me, Matteo and Brando nearly ended up in a car crash coming through the left-hander. There's a yellow flag out on track. That's a McLaren round. It's Alpha Gully round. I think he's been involved in an incident maybe with Mustache further down the field, but in the end there, Alpha Gully getting this car rotated back round. He's into the pit lane. On that sort of soft compound tyres, Tom on the back onto that sort of hard as well. Soft's definitely not lasting as long as what people would expect in this race, that is for sure. But Matteo and Brando, back to them. They nearly had a car accident into the right-hand return number 11. It was so close, so close. It was probably not aggressive contact from Matteo either. In the end, both of them are supposed to be teammates at the end of the day. Both of them are Italians. They know better than that.
Well, do they? They're both Ferrari drivers. So, do they really? But Rens, Thomason, Rayan, Oscar, your top 3. Max van der Geest in 4th. Don't rule out Max yet in this race.
Cameron.
He's great in scenarios such like this. Genuinely, it is one of his better traits, as Max van der Geest does go so deep into the corner, though. I think he thought Cameron was more alongside, but running deep into the corner has allowed the Alpine to run alongside. Max van der Geest holds it round the outside, gives Cameron just enough racing room. Cameron Dowd still going to commit to the inside of the corner, though, and as they come back into camera shot, still side by side. Luckily, Cameron didn't have a bubble over that curb, and they were able to stay side by side there, but Max van der Geest stays in front. No joy for Dowds. He'll have to go again, and the runner-up last season in PSGL F2 is having a little bit of trouble getting past the man who finished 11th. Here comes Matteo for the outside now. These two certainly fought last season. Medium tyre versus hard tyre. Champion versus future champion. No move for Matteo. Cameron stays in front.
Evan already nailing his colours to the mast as well, calling Cameron Dowds a future champion.
He is a future champion.
PSF1.
He technically is already a champion, just in lower tiers.
I'm normally the one that says that. Here comes Matteo, though, around the outside of him, and it's just made Cameron Dowds look absolutely still down the straight, in towards turn number 9 and 10 we go. And Matteo back through these into 5th position. Cameron Dowds and saying, I'm whetting the appetite, quite literally, in terms of this battle. I'm salivating at the mouth, quite literally, in terms of Matteo and Cameron Dowds. We have wanted to see this battle over and over and over again in PSF1. Azim to the inside on, and Talisbo in the background. A shot now fighting very aggressively to the inside on. The Turk tries to get the move done on the Dutchman. The Dutchman forced out wide on the curb. Azim now moved on. He's a reserve driver, but he's behaved himself very professionally out on track. He's through these into 9. Watch out for him in the second stage of this race. He's on that sort of hard compound tyre. Rien going for the back of Rennes. Avatar mentioned about his tyres as well. You want to keep those tyres in great condition if you want to finish this race in first place. Also, you want a lot of ERS, and also, you want Oscar right on the back of Rayen down straight in towards turn number 3, and Max von der Gies goes all the way around the outside on Oscar. Needy gets a bit of a Constantine effect going in between in front of him, and now Oscar and Max von der Gies are side by side. Matteo is just absolutely loving this life right now, because he's right on the back of both of them, and given how their exits coming out of turn number 6 are, Matteo could have both of them down the straight here.
Could well do. Needs to keep an eye on Cameron Dowds behind as well, the future champion, which whether it is PSGL F1 or whether it's a game of cornhole on Portobello Promenade, I'm sure he'll win something sooner rather than later. But no, I'm not biased to anyone but the Irish drivers. Ryan is looking to try and make the move on Rennes to Masson. No, rather calm, actually, in towards the right hand there for once, which is a bit of a change. This fight goes all the way down to 11th.
It does, and who's at the back of the train? The man who finished in P2 around even 2 seasons ago, Volokongan, right on the back of the train. Tala, Azim, Ryan all behaving themselves very nicely indeed as well. Everything, though, running in line of stern formation, and this is good news because everyone can now save up on that ERS a little bit. Everyone can just go around, be equal in terms of the ERS, be equal in terms of the DRS, the DRS sections as well, and then maybe just sync up where on earth the driver ahead of you or behind you is probably weak. To be honest, if I was out there out on the track, I'd probably be out of the race by right now, which is why we are letting these guys go at it here in PSF1. And if you are enjoying the action, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. Rennes Thomason leading the way, Brienne there in second, Oscar there in third, Max von der Gies was looking all over the back of Oscar. Oscar looking all over the back of Brienne, who had a very poor exit, I've got to be honest. Coming now onto lakeside drive, Matteo right on the back of these 3 as well. Max von der Gies trying to go all the way around the outside. There's a bit of carbon fibre, I think, flying off there on the right side. Plate, and now Matteo gets a beautiful run on both of them. Looks to the inside line. This should be job done for the Italians. Stalin, Rennes and Rihanna are playing high-speed game of poker from behind, and there's nearly 4 wide in the back.
Damage.
Somebody's front wing going off. Is that Azim potentially or Cameron Dowd?
I think it could be Matteo. No, it's Max von der Gies! Oh no! He's lost his front right end plate. The Williams is wounded, heading for the final corner, and that is a travesty for a man on such great tyres. He is on one of the best tyres in the field for going to the end of the race, and he has front right wing damage. It won't cost him an awful lot, I should say, but it is going to hamper his race win chances severely. I'm glad my streaming software isn't recording my face camera, because I was absolutely wincing down that straight. I don't know how these drivers cope for 29 laps. There's something just as close as this, but that's why they are the best of the best. That's why they are racing here in PSGL F1. This is incredible.
This is incredible, and still we've got another 8.5 laps to go, so buckle up, fasten your seatbelts, one for wild and wacky ride here in Australia at the land down under. Rennes Thomason leads the way, Rayen there in second, Matteo there in third. Max von der Gies, though, it's through the left-handed corners where he's going to really feel the effects, I think, of that car. Luckily for him, most of these are right-handed corners, so he'd be absolutely fine, I think, in terms of his front wing damage, and he is sticking with the back of Matteo very neatly indeed. So at the minute, Mateo has not got rid of Max von der Geest. Max von der Geest, in fact, is actually looking quicker than Mateo right now, even with that little bit of front wing damage, as Barak picks up a 3-second penalty further down the field, and just bring up the speed with the penalties further down the field. Hazard on 3, Mustache on 3, and Barak on 3 seconds worth of penalties as well. But Rennes leading the way, Rayen in second. The name of the game is this, quite literally, Evan. Rennes 94%, Rayen 97, Mateo 94. All around the same ERS, and now they're playing high-speed game of poker in towards turn number 3 once again. Rennes looks to the inside line, tries to defend the car. Rayen on the outside line. Are we going to go back to PSGL series?
I don't get that reference. I've never seen
four wide in Britain.
Oh, I do get that reference. Yeah, that was that was mental. I've never seen an F1 car bump draft someone, but I think I've seen Mateo try it a couple of times tonight. He's now gone for the outside, soon to become inside on Rayan, and look at this. There's not much space between the yellow line and the RB, and they have made contact. Wheel banging heading in towards the left-hander. I'm not too sure how they've survived, but they have, and there is just the laws of physics being broken left, right and centre here in PSGL F1. Not a new team after seeing it last season, but this is an absolute cracker. It's not nearly decided yet. There's still the jeopardy of the tyres to come into play, the mediums specifically, as we are expecting them to fall off very soon. The only saving grace is these cars are very light now, very low fuel, so that will help them last longer than earlier on in the race. There's also a clear racing line down, so that should help a little bit as well, but it's got to be smooth go-kart steering for anyone on the mediums from here on out.
And I wish we had our go-kart expert here in the race right now. DVR, of course, he's moving to PSF2, or PCF2, I should believe, in PSGL. Good luck to him, of course, moving to PC a little bit later on. Even his dad wasn't even told that he was racing. He wasn't racing.
Yeah, that's poor from you,
Ren's
Danny.
leading the way up. Yeah, it's a bad luck on the Van Routen household. Put it that way, there's a yellow flag. Dirk is round safety, a VSC. VSC deployed out on track, and that is why Ryder Dahl has had an instant with him, 10-second penalty, and for him, and Dirk is round, no foot wing on the car, and that is him now round through turn number 4. It's exactly the same point as Tom crashed in qualifying. That is him round, and in fact, it's a full safety car. That yellow dot is coming out of the pit lane.
Oh my word. And we thought this couldn't get any better. Let's stick them all on equal tyres and a bucket load of ERS for about 3 laps towards the end of the race. This just gets better. It just gets better. Dirk, though, he's not going to be a man who will be coming off this evening with a spring in his step. He started the season very poorly last season, but picked it up towards the end, and last season he finished the season with 4 points finishes in a row. That's really the only reason he's here. It saved his drive, and he was looking to continue that form into the start of this season. Unfortunately not. He's now been involved in an incident. Everybody, the entire field, is into the pit lane.
Yep, and I'm not surprised because mediums.
There's a load of them gone for mediums.
Unless they haven't got any sort of softs left.
Wow. So Rayan has gone for the softs. Max is on the softs. Max didn't change his wing as well, crucially enough. Smart call. Very smart call for Max. He would have been dumped down the order severely if he had done that. He is on the softs. Mediums for Oscar and Cameron. Softs for Tellez. Mediums for Azim and Brando. Softs for Casper Flack. That's such a split. That is an unbelievable split that you don't usually see.
It is. 4 on a set of softs and 6 on a set of medium compounded tyres. I can only think it's what Leonard was saying, literally just the same point as I was going to make there. Mediums are smart, softs will die earlier. That's exactly what I thought I was going to say there. So Leonard just took the words quite literally out of my mouth there. So thank you for that one. Ren's leading the way, Rayen in second, Mateo there in third. The softs overheat very quick around this track. They die off at around about a 6-7% rate, I believe, as well. So they do degrade off very quickly indeed. The medium compounded tyres, though, however, go to the first stint. They dropped off, 9 or 10 laps into the race, and we saw very early pit stops going on to a set of hard compounded tyres. Now the complexion of the race has completely changed. Now there's a full safety car out on track. It means mediums and softs are basically the same in terms of the wear. Mediums probably more preferable, but anybody on a set of soft compounded tyres, as long as they can stick within a DRS train, which they will, it is going to be them saving a lot of tyre wear towards the end of the race. So they're going to be very even towards the end.
Yeah, we'll have 4 laps of racing. Safety car will go around one more trip, and then we'll have 26, 27, 28, 29. So that will be what decides this one. I just can't believe the split. Like, usually we see them all go for one or the other, because they're all equally. I know we have to critique and we have to comment on some, but they're all equally as good as each other at the game, in one sense or another. They'll all, or the majority of them, will have an engineer who usually goes for the same thing. I just can't believe the split. And it's interestingly enough, because it's different. Is it different esports teams that have gone for different strategies? It mostly is. Like, if you look, most of the ETA drivers have gone for mediums. Most of the Shizou drivers have gone for mediums. Alpha. No, sorry, Shizou are split. So Shizou have multiple engineers working at this one.
They do. I think they've all gone with an individual driver and thought, to hell with it. We're trying to go with the best strategy here. And then in the end of the day, Volakongan and the lights on the sort of sub-compound sides further down the field. Do you know who this race actually opens up to? Mateo and Cameron Dowd. Them are the two that I'm looking at immediately right now. Renz Thomason and Ryan were already playing DRS games on the run down and towards turn number 11 before we have the safety car.
Oh, no.
So are they going to do exactly the same thing once again? Mateo there in third, he knows when to spot an opportunity. He knows when to go for these opportunities as well. So that's why I'm thinking immediately him. Max von der Gies and Oscar, they've been side by side as well in the past around here as well. They were playing a little bit of DRS training, and Cameron Dowd was getting into that battle. So that's why I'm searching towards Mateo and Cameron Dowd to potentially be on the top 3 at the end of this race. Safety car's coming in this lap, by the way. You can tell that by the flashing safety car sign on the top left-hand side of your screen. Renz Thomason, virtual Burmander. He's now the virtual safety car. Looks like Renz wants to get on with it, but whether or not they will remains to be seen, with 4 laps to go after this.
You can also tell the safety car is coming in because it just came across the top of your screen, big writing that it was doing that as well. So that's another way to tell. But Renz Thomason will lead us here ahead of Rayan in second. DRS games with 18 other cars directly behind you is not going to end well, and I really hope we don't see stuff like that. But let's wait and see. Renz runs a wide line, forces Rayan to take an obscure run through the penultimate corner, and now we go racing for the final time here in Albert Park, Australia. Thomason gets a good getaway. Rayan is hot on his heels. Mateo as well, and Max von der Gies fighting in this one. Remember, Max von der Gies, bit of front wing damage. He's going to be struggling through the left-hand corners. Will be okay through the right and on the straight. They all are okay. Not a lot of ERS being burned. Only move real here is Volakongan trying to fling it around the outside of Casper Flag. It is a veteran of PSGL racing versus one of the newcomers to the F1 Championship, and the Norwegians ahead.
And experience tells over, well, rookiness, quite literally, with Casper Flag. Ryan ran on the back of him there as well. Renz Thomason was trying to escape up the road, and this is very interesting because Mateo now is right on the back of Rayan. Max von der Gies, obviously with that front wing damage, bit of a wounded car. Is he going to hold up the likes of Oscar and Cameron Dowd in the late stage of this race? With 3.5 laps to go, Renz leading the way, trying to make an early break even for glory. Rayan there in second, Mateo there in third. Dirk's picked up another penalty further down the field. That's another 3 seconds, I believe, for him. Mateo, though, on the back of Rayan, looking to find the move. But remember, DRS gets enabled this lap around, and that is from Lakeside Drive all the way down and towards turn number 11.
Yep, got to be very crucial as the DRS in this one. We round through the final corner and then to head down towards turn number 1 and 2, named after Jack Brabham and Alan Jones. Flicking it through the chicane. Oh, a little bit of a bobble from Rayan there, but nothing too costly. Mateo just sitting pretty in third. They're all waiting for pretty much the last lap in this one. It's going to be a bit of a stalemate for 2 laps, and then it is going to be like 19 headless chickens have been let loose over the Australian suburbs.
It will quite literally be that. But look at Mateo immediately on the back of Rayan. Rayan, his softs are looking like they're overheating very quick. I can tell that by the rear tyres on that car. And now Mateo might have to think about getting this move done sooner rather than later. Oscar on the back of Max von der Gies catching quite quickly as well. DRS, of course, enabled now. On the run up once again in towards turns 9 and 10. It's going to be rather interesting to see what Renz Thomason does out in front. Is he trying to escape the way? 65%. Compared to Rayan on 32%, Mateo on 84%. So right now, Rayan is in an ERS sandwich, quite literally, with Renz and Mateo much better ahead of him. And in the end, Ryan looks like his tyres overheating. Lockup doesn't do him any justice either.
No, Rayan is struggling. Medium's the better choice, it seems, here at Albert Park. Penultimate lap of the Australian Grand Prix. It is Rens Tomasin who leads, but Matteo sets the fastest lap. Azim sets the fastest lap. The young Turkishman certainly has something to say here. Here comes Matteo, looking for the move on Rayan. No. He wants to be in second place. That seems to be the prize almost in sim racing this point. His second going on to the last lap. Not able to get it done.
Azim trying to go around the outside of Tales in the background, a shot there as well. Max von der Geest there with the wounded cars. Oscar got damaged as well on the right side end plate, just like being on board with the car. No, it's my eyesight, quite literally there. Matteo on the back of Rayan, running now through lakeside drive. He gets the slingshot off the back, now on the inside line, coming through the kink of turn and break. We saw Rens Tomasin do a Moses-like move. Are we going to say Matteo do a Moses-like move at the home, of course, of the Vatican in Italy? Now going around the inside of turn number 9 and 10, doesn't make the move in the end. Rens leads the way, Rayan in second, Matteo there in third. Matteo is in the best seat in the house right now in this race. Oscar on the back of Max von der Geest. If he hasn't got damage, he might do now, because there was a bit of carbon fibre, I think, flying there from the Mercedes. He hasn't got any damage, but Oscar there very lucky to stay within this race. Rens Tomasin leads the way. Ryan in second, Matteo there in third. Mr. Evan Dalton, over to you for the final lap.
Here we go then, last lap of the Australian Grand Prix. We start this season in a way we finished many races last season. That is with a last lap shootout here in PSGL F1. Ryan, fastest lap of the race, the German. There's a point going for that now, remember. Excellent job there for him. Matteo still all over the back of the RB in front. Rayan has put up a good defensive performance to deter Matteo from making some silly moves, and he's trying to just hold on for one more run. Rens is going to feel vulnerable here because he's got two Formula 1 cars who have monster slipstreams right behind them, flicking it through the right-hander at 7 on towards Lakeside Drive. Matteo's got the battery. He's starting to burn it. This is going to decide the race. Oh, bit of a move from the RP of Rayan, but Matteo has got the move completed. Easy. Now his sights are set on Rens Tomasin in first. He almost went third to first last year in Spa-Francorchamps. He's going to try to do it here at Albert Park, and what a shot it he's got. Rens Tomasin is like a sitting duck, and there's a rocket ship coming past him in towards Ascari. The Italian gets the move done in a grade he maybe look up to, a Ferrari grade. Matteo rounding through the final corner, heading in towards Prost, a great champion, driving through a corner named after a great champion. He couldn't win in his championship defending season. He wanted revenge. He gets it. Matteo wins the Australian Grand Prix. Unk's back on top, and what a way to start a season when he felt last season went adrift.
And call me Mystic James. I said it, what, lap 24 out of 29, he was in the best seat in the house, and that's exactly what happened. He had so much better ERS, and he had such a better run. Rens Tomasin, if he didn't make that mistake at the chicane, it could have been completely different. He gets Driver of the Day awarded by the in-game fans as well. The Italian stallion there is back. He takes the race win. Max von der Geest, though, already coming in the Discord saying thanks for the damage to Matteo as well. So, Matteo's won the race out on track. Whether or not Max von der Geest puts that stewards report in remains to be seen.
For now, at least, it is Matteo on top, and what a brilliant, brilliant drive from him. Didn't get the win last season, got 3 podiums, wasn't satisfied with that. Something tells me he'll be a little bit happier in the post-race interview this time.
He definitely will be, and in the end, it was a really deserved victory for Matteo. He repeats what he did in season 36. You know what happened in season 36? Is he going to repeat the same thing in season 38? Who knows? But let us have a look at the top end of the standings. And it's Matteo who takes the race win out on track by 10th and a half. Rens, to be fair, had a good run at him coming through the final corner. If that straight was longer, it might have been different, but it's if but some maybes here in Australia. Ryan there in third with Oscar there in fourth. Cameron Dowds in fifth. He had a really aggressive fight with Max von der Geest in the background for sixth. Azim there in 7th, Tales in 8th, Vulakonga in 9th, and Ryan with the fastest lap point there, picking up the top 10. Brando, Casper Flack, Rotterdam, Hazara, Mustache, Alpha Gully, Barak, Dirk all finishing. Tom Roberts a lap down in the end, down in 19th position. Didn't see what happened to him, and then out of the race early on was Mr. Evan Dalton, because I totally forgot who was at the bottom there.
It was Marius who was out of the race earlier.
It was.
Our only retirement here in the opener. Disappointing for Marius because he had a good qualifying, didn't he? He'll be looking to bounce back next season. Let's try get a few interviews then. I see James Head typing in the Discord, so I'll let him type away there, and we could try get an interview from our podium. Very, very, very interesting race, and it was great to see your guys' reaction to it as well. Matthias in the stream chat saying, how does Matteo always win after poor qualies? I don't know. No one knows. It's just kind of what he does at this point. He did it back in his F2 title winning season. He did it in his F1 title winning season. He does it again, and he will probably do it again this season. But what a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant race. And James, I think that bodes nicely for the season ahead.
It does bode very nicely indeed for the season ahead, and it's going to be, I think, really interesting to see how this complexion of the championship takes. And of course, looking at the calendar, we've got Circuit of the Americas next week, which is going to be really, really intriguing. I think completely different complexion towards Australia. Are we going to see Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, that sort of battle potentially next week in Texas? Who knows? Belgium I actually covered around in another team event last week. Absolute unbelievable race, I've got to say, there in Belgium. And amongst some of the same drivers that was there on that Wednesday night as well. So it's going to be rather intriguing for round 3. Canada, and then Qatar, and then Monaco 3 days before my birthday, interestingly, which is very neat. Britain, Netherlands, and then Saudi Arabia to round off the first half of the season before the festive break. But Australia, round 1 done. Texas next week. How do we think the drivers are going to cope with that one?
Well, I think it's going to be a little less slipstreamy than today, because of course you got that first sector which you can but you can't follow through, if that makes sense, where you can follow through every corner here in Albert Park. I think the middle sector is going to be very fun. I think we're going to see a few lunges. Hopefully the rules are clarified through turn 12, so we don't get a similar situation to Formula 1, but I'm sure that will all be sorted in due course. I think it's a very interesting track to go to straight after Australia, because it's very different.
It is. It's very different, but it's sort of that flow that I think we get within the championship, and it's certainly going to be rather intriguing, I think, to see how everything goes on. Are you ready with the interview screen?
Yes, I am. Let's bring him in now. Matteo, your race winner. Hello, Matteo. Can you hear me? Hello, Matteo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, congratulations. There were many times last season we spoke to you after a race where you were disappointed to not take a win. It's finally happened.
Yeah, it feels so good to be back on the top step, especially because in the last season and in general throughout this game, I felt like in the majority of races I didn't get the result I deserved. A qualifying that went wrong, someone taking me out, double stacks. But yeah, finally we managed to get a clean race. As always, my main strength is the race, so I just started P11, not too bad on this game to be in contention for the win. And I gotta say I was a bit lucky, because starting on the medium, we were gonna do medium hard. And right on the lap we decided to pit, a safety car came out. So yeah, that was really lucky, because mediums couldn't have gone till the end of the race, or they would have fallen off a cliff. So basically it would have been 1v1 with Rens and Max, because we were the only 2 on hards. But yeah, last safety car, and managed it perfectly, because Ryan was on the worst tire to be on at that point. And they just pressured him into using ERS to stay close to Rens and to have a shot at doing a double overtake on the last 2 DRS zones. And it worked perfectly, because Ryan came out close to Rens. I had the most battery out of them. So yeah, I just catched Rens on the last DRS zone, and finally I would say that's a win.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we saw you go for the move a couple times on Rayan tonight in similar fashion that you did to on the last lap. You kind of went for the outside round through the right-hander of the King. And Rayan, we saw pushed you very close to the grass. You had to back out. Was there always that little bit of nervousness going onto the last lap, knowing that that's what happened on previous occasions?
The plan was just to overtake Ryan, and since we were on the best tire by far, even though it's really hard to get on this game, I thought that me and Rance, by working together and kind of teaming up, we would have done a favor to our race because we got the guys behind, we stay in a 1v1, which is always better than fighting against 10 other cars. But unluckily, that's what happened with the last safety car. So I just said, I'm going to go for the inside. There's no one stopping me from winning this race. Ryan still pushed me onto the grass. But as I said, no one was stopping me from getting a win. So I just kept my foot down and got the move done.
Last time you won the season opener here in PSGL F1, you went on to become the champion. Is that going to repeat?
Sometimes I believe in this kind of things, and I really hope it's the case. For this thing because on this game qualifyings have been my weak point, and they put me in a not so good positions for a lot of races. Even though my race pace is the best of the lot, or among the best of the lot. I just hope to keep every race clean, because at the end of the day, that's what I did in the season where I became champion. Every race was clean, maximized the results, and thanks to that, I went on to become a champion. And the plan originally was to make a clean sweep on this game. First season hasn't gone well, but I want to make the ground up, and I hope to win this title like I did on the previous game, and hopefully the next one as well.
James, any questions for this week's race winner?
Evan stole my question there, so I have to try and think
Sorry.
potentially for another
Snooze, you
question.
lose.
I get the sense of deja vu, I think, though, with him winning in season 36, with him winning again in season 38, first round of the championship. As Evan mentioned, you went on to become champion that season. Do you believe in those things, the sense of deja vu, or do you think, actually, with how this calendar is going to be set up, do you think it's going to suit you down to a T?
Actually, during the race, it might seem strange. It might seem strange, but I actually thought back at that season opener on F1 23, because it was basically the same situation. Only a few cars fighting for the win, and me being P2. I hope it's gonna be the same thing it was on F1 23. And unfortunately, the tracks aren't the best ones for me, especially because some of them, like Monaco, are done pretty much for the guys who are fast in qualifying. And as you can see, I'm not one of them. I just hope to maximize the results where I can't win or get a podium. And that will be the key to win it all.
Well, saying that and saying about that with the calendar, obviously we go to Texas next week, Circuit of the Americas. It's a track that you've had mixed fortunes, I think, around the past as well, not only here in PSGL, but in other leagues as well. How do you think you're going to cope with round two, and is it to your liking on this game?
Kota isn't among the best tracks on this game for me, but it's not among the worst either. So I just hope to qualify around the top 10 like I did tonight, hopefully a little bit better. And from then on, I just hope to do the same race I did tonight. Because as I said, the pace is really strong in the race on every track. I just gotta qualify as high as possible. And hopefully every race will be like the one we did tonight.
Hopefully so, because I think it'll be very interesting to see how things go on. And you never know, come 12 weeks' time, you might be sitting here as PSF1 champion once again, and that sense of deja vu will be long gone. But for now, go and enjoy Ethan.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Evan. GG's to Rance and Ryan for the clean fight throughout the race. And thanks to my engineer, Yassir, who was spot on tonight.
Thank you very much, Matteo. And we hope to talk to you again soon. And that's one thing I always like to see from Matteo and other drivers in the championship. There's always a good sportsmanship vibe after a race. No matter what happens, they're always like, right, we gave it our best shot. Well done to everyone else. and then that's it.
And I believe as well, the engineer that he mentioned also drove, I should say, in PSF2, Yasasaki, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
That's impressive.
And certainly thanking him.
Yeah.
Very impressive, given that quick turnaround from PSF2. He must have jumped in between qualifying and the race, and obviously engineer Matteo. But a big thank you to Matteo for that interview. It's always fascinating, I think, to hear his thoughts. And in the end, Texas, as I say, it's been a mixed fortune track for him in the past. But it's been mixed fortune tracks for other people around here in PSF1 in the past as well. And what you have to do, you guys at home, I know I'm pointing at you. You have to tune in next week for PSF1 at Texas. Of course, the race before Halloween. Whether or not we get ghouls and ghosts in the commentary box remains to be seen. I always wear my mask 365 days a year, or in case of a leap year, 366. So it doesn't matter. I'll be still looking the same. I'm sure as will Evan.
Yeah, I don't have much Halloween stuff. If it was board game night, we'd be sorted, as evidence in 3 seasons ago in Mexico. But we'll wait and see how it goes. I do enjoy a good Matteo interview, though. He's always very insightful and gives us a great thought. One more thing before we go, folks. Make sure, firstly, to check out our sponsors, Sim Racing Centre. I caught him out. I knew he was going to do it. Firstly, check out our sponsors, Sim Racing Centre, if you want to become as quick as Matteo. Great setups over there, great crew, as well as you can get yourself some training from F1 Esports World Champion Brendan Lee. And now we can point to the chairs. Check out GT Omega as well. Me and Jay, I absolutely love this chair. Like, genuinely, I live in it. It's brilliant. Make sure you do check it out. They give you a nice pillow and stuff as well. I don't use it because I've got a fat head, but they give you a nice pillow and stuff you can use to your advantage as well. So make sure you do check that out. Texas next week. Be there, 8 p.m. Monday night. You don't want to miss it. From myself, Evan Dalton, and James Head alongside me, thank you very much for watching, folks, and we shall see you again soon. We're going to leave you with a quick word from both those sponsors previously mentioned. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.